मेदिनि नन्दितमेदिनि विश्वविनोदिनि नन्दिनुते गिरिवरविन्द्यशिरोदिनि वासिनि विष्णुविलासिनि जिष्णुनुते भगवति हेशिति कण्ठकुटुम्बिनि भूरि कुटुम्बिनि भूरि कृते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते सुरवरवर्षिणि दुर्गरदर्शिनि दुर्मुखमर्षिनि हर्षरते त्रिभुवनपोषिणि शङ्करतोषिणि किल्बिषमोषिनि घोषरते धनुजनिरोषिणि दितिश्रुतरोषिणि दुर्मथतोषिनि सिन्धुसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते
Hi guys, let me know if the audio is coming fine, etc. It's great to be doing finally a Brahma Puran live stream, right? I really missed this. I hope the audio is coming fine. Yeah, seems to be fine. But just let me know in the comment section as well. Yeah, Shreyash is here. Binay Singh has written a lot of stuff. We'll get into that first. But the main theme of today's live stream is that, to quote the great Brazilian metal band Soulfly, they have this famous song called Primitive. And the first line is that, back to the primitive, fuck all the politics. So that's kind of the theme today. But of course, Brahma Puran is not very primitive. Brahma Puran is more philosophizations of all the early Vedic thinkings and philosophies and teachings and rituals. So first, let's check out what Binay Singh has been saying. The camera angle seems to be fine, right? Okay. So yeah, he seems to be pissed off with Acharya Prashant. Let's see what Binay said. Dada, I don't support Neo-Hinduism or Neo-Vedanta. Yeah, so he commented this in another place as well, and I told him that I don't know what those things mean. So he said that it is just intellectual subversion propagated by Western Hindu-phobic intellectualists, perhaps, but I don't know what those words mean. So let's see what he has written. Actually, all leftists' attack on Hinduism can be traced back to this thesis. Marxist attack on Hinduism in their thesis. Marxists attack Hinduism in their thesis, but their framework comes from Western intellectualists. Please watch this video by Rajiv Malhotra. I see. Neo-Hinduism or Neo-Vedanta was proposed by Paul Hacker, German Hindu-phobic Indologist. He was a Christian apologist. He made his thesis that Swami Vivekananda actually wanted to unite Hindus politically to fight British. Therefore, he combined the Karma Yoga in Advaita Vedanta, exclude the Sannyasa. Right. Therefore, his Vedanta is different from Adi Shankaracharya. This thesis is false. I see. Okay. This theory was later taken by Romila Thapar and leftists to show Hindutva as oppressive caste structure oppressing Muslim Dalits in India. Swami Vivekananda never invented Neo-Vedanta. Oh, I see. But if you read all the books on Swami Vivekananda, they separate Neo-Vedanta from Advaita Vedanta, then apply Marxist interpretation. This is the attack on Hindu Dharma. Okay. They want to intellectually divert us from our Shastras. This is very great strategy of the intellectual terrorist, yes. If you can't erase a character, then make sure people know only what they want to tell, yes. I'm damn sure he even don't know this attack on Hindu Dharma. He may have this is true or Neo-Vedanta doesn't harm Hindu Dharma. Our biggest threat is the ignorance among the right-wing channels. They never do the Purv Paksha. Yes, I don't support J.S.I. Deepak. Hindutva is alone sufficient to fight alliance of Islamic Marxist Christian apologist ignorance of right wing. Yeah, this I agree with 100%. There's no one way to fight anything. You need all the guns, all the bombs, all the different kinds of weapons in your arsenal. Okay, you can't say that I'll use this just one particular gun made by one particular company and go to the war and fight my enemies. No, that's not going to happen. We need all sorts of people. We need brash conviction wala people. We need street power. We need complainers who only find out what are the problems we are facing. We need sane minds. We need balanced minds who say no, no, it's still good enough. We need skeptics. All of those people. Our biggest weak point is not that our people don't know anything Hindu Dharma, but it is that all they know about Hindu Dharma is propaganda. Yeah, pretty much. Acharya Prashant is neo Vedantist. That's why he hates Hindutva. He's the biggest ignorant. Okay, I don't like Acharya Prashant all that much because I only watched his video on Kantara, and that didn't sit well with me. But other than that, I have seen that he's basically of the spiritual, not religious, hippie vegan faction of India's cultural Hinduish side. Okay, so anytime someone is vigorously Hindu, I mean, talking about dairy industry oppression, but at the same time criticizes movies like Kantara or hates Hindutva, you know where they're coming from. He's the biggest ignorant. Acharya Prashant, for views, runs ad, and for running the NGO, he sucks the dick of Hinduphobic scholar. I see. Only 7 people watching. Acharya Prashant is a fraudster. Okay, all of you hate Acharya Prashant. So interesting. कहा गए? I don't like Acharya. अरे no one likes Acharya Prashant. अरे क्या हो गया? I never commented on Acharya Prashant because I thought some of his followers or devotees, bhakts might be my viewers, so they'll get hurt, sad, angry. So I avoided it. But I've only seen 2 videos and I haven't seen much sense in his words. So let's see, guys. We are starting with Rishi Lomaharshana sitting in the Naimisha forest in UP, describing what Brahma said. And as Brahma starts speaking, he first starts with describing what we discussed in the previous day's Brahma Puran stream, which was first we discussed 2 sections of Orissa, in the which was called Utkala. So Utkala Kshetra, Ekamra Kshetra, both were in Orissa. Then we discussed a bit of Avantika, which is in Madhya Pradesh. Now Brahma will refer to that place, and then he starts. Okay, I don't hate Prashant. He talks sense mostly. Oh, interesting. Okay, then Anushka Tyagi, tell us if anything in particular that you think is being misunderstood by people like us, or especially the 2 points that I spoke of in case of Kantara and all. Okay, so because see here, Binay Singh doesn't agree with J Sai Deepak, but he also hates Acharya Prashant. But J Sai Deepak likes Kantara, but Binay Singh doesn't like J Sai Deepak's idea of the only way to help Hinduism, etc. But at the same time, Acharya Prashant hates Kantara. So there's an intellectual interesting intersection of agreements and disagreements, right? So let us know, what do you like about Acharya Prashant? His views will destroy Hindu family system. I am emphasizing on the word Hindu. Acha, what are his views on Hindu family system? I haven't watched that much. अरे साई तंडली सिंह, अरे गांजा पीकर घूम रहा था. अरे वो तो बहुत साल पहले, उसको उसको लेकर क्या ब्लेम करे. Okay, so Brahma said, earlier the king used to rule over that excellent kingdom. He's talking about Avantika. The intelligent one protected his subjects like a father protecting his sons. He was truthful in his speech and immensely wise. He was okay. Let's do a bit of recap. Otherwise, it will be too big of a jump, right? So let's start from the last paragraph on the previous day. Okay. So the illustrious and three-eyed god, the destroyer of Tripura, resides there. This is Shiva, who grants everything that one desires. He is famous there as Mahakala, because we are talking about Avantika in Madhya Pradesh. A man should follow the norms and bathe in Shiva's kunda, which destroys all sins. He should follow the norms and satisfy the gods, rishis, and ancestors. After this, he should go to Shiva's temple and perform pradakshina thrice. He should control himself, control his senses, and wearing a washed garment, enter. He must devotedly worship Shankara through bathing, flowers, fragrances, incense, lamps, food, gifts, singing, the playing of musical instruments, pradakshina, prostrating on the ground like a rod, dancing, and hymns of praise. Okay, यहाँ पे बोला जा रहा है कि इंसेंस से भगवान शिव का, हेलो हेलो हेलो, भगवान शिव का पूजा करना है, ठीक है. So, but there are some people who say that incense sticks are Islamic way of worshipping, so that should not be used in case of Hindu devotees. But this Brahma Puran was written in the 12th or 13th century, so that's interesting that they are saying that incense sticks se hi puja karna hai. If a man follows the norms and devotedly worships Mahakala Shiva, he obtains the fruits of 1,000 horse sacrifices. He is cleansed of all sins. He ascends a Vimana that has all the sub objects of desire and goes to Shambhu's abode in heaven. He assumes a celestial and handsome form, adorned with divine garments, divine ornaments, until the deluge arrives. Until the end arrives, he enjoys all the objects of pleasure there. O best among sages, in Shiva's world there is no old age or death. When his store of good merits is exhausted, he is reborn on earth in an excellent Brahmana family. He becomes a Brahmana who knows the four Vedas and is accomplished in all the sacred texts. United with Pashupata Yoga, he obtains emancipation. There is a sacred river there, known by the name of Kshipra. An excellent man who bathes there and, following the norms, satisfies the gods and the ancestors, is cleansed of all sins. Astride an excellent Vimana, he goes to the world of heaven, where he enjoys all kinds of objects of pleasure. The illustrious god of the gods, Janardana, also resides there. Hari bestows the objects of pleasure and emancipation, and his name there is Govinda Swami. Having seen him there, a person frees 21 generations of his family. He mounts a Vimana that has the complexion of the sun and is decorated with garlands of bells. This is endowed with all the objects of pleasure and can go or stay as one wishes. Astride this, praised by the Gandharvas, he goes to Vishnu's world and obtains greatness there. He enjoys all the varied objects of pleasure there and is freed from all fear and anxiety. Until the deluge arrives, he is extremely fortunate, handsome, and happy. In the course of time, he will subsequently be born as a Brahmana on earth. In a house that has excellent yogis, he will know the true purport of the Vedas, true rahasya, true meaning, true essence of the Vedas and the sacred texts. Resorting to Vaishnava yoga, he will obtain emancipation. O Brahmanas, to obtain the fruits that have been mentioned earlier, a man or a woman should also go and see Vishnu there, present under the name of Vikramaswamy. With Shakra as the foremost, other gods also reside there. O best among sages, there are the Matris, mother goddesses, who bestow all the fruits that one wishes for. If one follows the norms, devotedly worships them, and prostrates himself before them, he is freed from all sins and goes to heaven. Such was that beautiful day, protected by the lion among kings. Like Indra's Amaravati, it constantly rejoices with festivities. The city was laid out extremely well, with 18 extensive squares. There was the sound of bows being twanged, and it was adorned with assemblies of virtuous people. There were large numbers of learned people, and there was the loud sound of the Vedas being chanted. O Brahmanas, day and night, recitals of Itihasa, Purana, many sacred texts, Kavya, and conversations on these could be heard. We are talking about Avantika here in Madhya Pradesh. I have thus spoken about the excellent qualities of Avanti. Earlier, the immensely intelligent Indradyumna used to be the king there. Now we start a subchapter called Visiting the Kshetras. Okay. Did Anushka Tyagi make any further point? Okay, let's check some more comments, and we'll resume Brahma Purana. Abhay Agarwal is saying when someone asked him about how girls are under threat due to love jihad, he diverted the topic to how Hindus oppress women within their families. Yeah. He seems to be basically a woke, liberal, vegan activist type person. Okay, who has some obsession, some fascination with Hinduism in the archaeotourism sense. Okay, was again I have to repeat this. स्पिरिचुअल नॉट रिलीजियस, वो टाइप के लोग जिनको थोड़ा ऑरोविल में 2-3 दिन बैठ के थोड़ा गाजा वाजा पीना है, वैसे लोग ओशो का झुकाव जैनिज्म की तरफ काफी था, वो खुद भी जैन था। बुद्ध की भी बुराइयां करता था, लेकिन जैनियों की बहुत कम, और हिंदू और मुस्लिम की बुराइयों के तो पुल बंद बांध देता था। ओशो was also a radical vegetarian. I doubt inspiration from Jainism. I see. But to clarify, I am also vegan, guys. But I'm not part of the woke vegan crowd. I know how to differentiate between the two. Uh, okay. Visiting the Kshetras. Brahma said that earlier the king used to rule over that excellent kingdom. We are talking about King Indradyumna. The intelligent one protected his subjects like a father protecting his sons. He was truthful in speech and immensely wise. He was brave and a reservoir of all the qualities. He was learned and full of dharma. He was supreme among all those who wielded weapons. He was truthful, good in conduct, and generous. He was prosperous and victorious over enemy cities. He was like Aditya in his energy, so like the sun. He was like the two Ashwins in his beauty, and he was like Shakra in his valor, in his bravery, in his courage. He was endowed with qualities that increased. He was as radiant as the autumn moon. He was ornamented with all the auspicious signs. He accumulated objects and performed all the sacrifices, the horse sacrifices, and others. In donations, sacrifices, and austerities, the king had no equal. From one sacrifice to another sacrifice, the Lord of the earth gave the best Brahmanas large quantities of wealth, gold, jewels, pearls, elephants, and horses. There was no end to his possession of elephants, horses, excellent chariots, blankets, black antelope skins, garments, jewels, wealth, and grain. He possessed all the different kinds of wealth and was ornamented with all the excellent qualities. He was prosperous with all the objects of desire. In this way, he ruled over that supreme kingdom. His mind turned towards Hari, the Lord of all kinds of yoga. So we are talking about Lord Krishna here, obviously. How, quote, how will I worship the Lord who grants objects of pleasure and emancipation? End quote. He, King Indradyumna, who was the king of Avanti, he thought in detail about all the sacred texts and Agama texts, Itihasa, Purana, all the Vedangas, all the Dharma Shastras, the Niyama that rishis had spoken about, the texts that are ancillaries to the Vedas, and all the texts that spoke about knowledge. He carefully served his gurus and brahmanas who were accomplished in the Vedas. He achieved the ultimate limit of knowledge and became successful. He learnt the supreme and undecaying truth, known as Vasudeva. Having passed beyond false learning, he controlled his senses and wished to be emancipated. See, these things, I like that at least this is the Hinduism of 12th or 13th century, right? Here, some might say that this is the influence of Islamic invasions, or this is a response to Islamic aggressions. But here we clearly see, unless there are similar things written in Upanishads and Vedas as well, because they were written before Puranas, there is a clear idea that which is true knowledge and which is false knowledge, which can be construed as the Abrahamic equivalent of false gods and true gods. So it's not like we are that revolving door and one सब लोग आ जाओ कुछ भी करो रोज सुबह कुछ नया स्टीरियोटाइप तो फिर भी तुम हिंदू ही रह जाओगे. That's not the case, because at least in the 12th 13th century, when Brahma Purana is being written, they are clearly writing this, that, and I have seen this in a previous section as well. I did not discuss it in depth back then, but this idea that uh, he learned the supreme and undecaying truth known as Vasudeva. uh, he passed beyond false learning. Okay, so there is something called false learning which is not in line with Vedas, and there is something called, so if there is a false learning, then there is true learning as well. So there is a judgment, there is a hierarchy. It's not open and free for all. कुछ भी बको यहाँ पे आके वो नहीं है, and that is a good thing. These things should not be hidden from our eyes. Having passed beyond false learning, he controlled his senses and wished to be emancipated. Very important. Let me just mark this, and let me just check the comment sections once again. आचार्य प्रशांत, मुझे कुशल की तरह लगता है, to be honest, at least Kushal is honest of his atheism. Yeah, if at all he is just like Kushal Mehra, then yes. Jains are not a problem. Most Jains live in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan. They are all well integrated with Hindus. Yes. ब्रह्म पुराण में अदर पुराणास का रेफरेंस इंटरेस्टिंग कोई सीक्वेंस है क्या पुराण का? It's not possible to know anymore because ideally these Purans are supposed to be thousands of years old, but some things, some of the shlokas, some of the sections might be really the carried down from the thousands of years past. But there are mentions of temples which are definitely made in 11th century, 12th century, the Puri Konark temple, etc. So we know that a lot of it is written after 12th century as well. So we'll never know, but it's not, it's at least older than 500, 600 years. That much we are sure of. It's at least from 12th or 13th century. Okay, Anushka Tyagi is saying he's a proponent of Advaita Vedanta, which is a non-dual tradition that encourages individuals to shed the distinction between self and other. That would also mean Hindus should stop seeing Muslims as other. Okay, then this argument would mean that we can't have any Shatru Bodh and we can't have any even physical defense. So छोड़ो, पहले we can't have any psychological defense. We can't say that this is us and there you are an outsider, because which most right wingers find threatening. Yeah, see, because if you don't see the M as the other, while the M sees you as the other, then it's a problem. I have no problem with integrating anyone in Hinduism unless they don't see me as the other. We can't go around saying that yes, सिर्फ पूजा पद्धति में ही difference है, बाकी सब तो भगवान तो एक ही है. They have to say this. We can't go around saying this. So I mean, obviously I find this pretty unacceptable that we should not see M's as the other. We have to see them as other, otherwise we will keep giving them things like walk of board and stuff. Because we don't see them as the other, we don't meddle with their Sharia law, we don't meddle with their walk of board. You can argue that you can see them as not other and still have strong law and order, but it does not work that way. If the core ethos of the country is that they are not the other, they are just like you and me, then we will end up accepting things like walk of board. Okay, wait, let me see what Abhay was saying about Kantara. I'll just check that comment. Okay, Anushka Tyagi is saying, I mean, I can understand why some Hindus find Prashant's statements as dangerous, because he talks about liberation of consciousness from bodily and manufactured identity, including the idea of Hinduness. Yeah, it's these things work on a universal, abstract, and theoretical level. Because see, I have a problem with any idea that works on the presupposition that everyone else will also agree with you. Open borders is a great example. That can work if you have the impossible guarantee that each and everyone else in the world also subscribes to that idea that yeah, it's okay, it's ye zameen to hamare bhagwan ne diya hai, there are no borders, you are just my brother, no matter how far you are, we will always go into your land, you will just always come into my land, and we won't fight with each other. You can't have a guarantee of that, therefore open borders does not make sense. That's the same with communism. Yeah, ideally we can have a government that takes care of everything. Ideally we can have complete equality, but it does not work in real life. And especially because if one country is communist and believes that only workers of the world can unite, while the other country is big on capitalism and the workers of those countries are prosperous and in fact nationalist, then your communism in your country fails. Okay, so this idea can be great in theory, but it has absolutely no standing in the real world, and therefore I think it should not be we should not even strive towards this, because every step towards this idea is a waste of time and is in fact dangerous, to be a little hyperbolous about it, because you can never have the guarantee that the other person also thinks about you the same way. भाई साहब को ध्रुव सब मिलकर आएंगे. Let me check what have I said about Kantara, because yeah, he was very critical of Kantara. Okay, I can't find the comment anyway. So Bank. Bala Saheb Thackeray was one of the OGs of this country. को किसी ने सुना है? Non-dualism just points out that duality is only in Maya. Inside Maya, there absolutely is duality. Self-proclaimed guru. Okay, let's resume Brahma Puran. Oh. So as we can see, there is something called false knowledge. How will I worship the eternal God of the gods? This is that king wondering, Indradyumna. He is four-armed and is attired in yellow garments. He wields a conch shell. This is the king talking about Krishna, okay? He wields a conch shell, a chakra, and a mace. His chest is covered with a garland of wild flowers. His large eyes are like the petals of lotuses. His chest bears the Shrivatsa mark. Shrivatsa mark literally means the place where Sri Lakshmi resides. It is a twirl of curly hair on Vishnu's slash Krishna's chest. Vishnu and Krishna are interchangeable here. Okay. He is adorned with a diadem and armlets. The Lord of the earth left his own city of Ujjaini. There was a large army with him, with servants and the priest. All the charioteers followed him with weapons in their hands. The chariots were like vimanas, decorated with flags and standards. All the horse riders had javelins and iron clubs in their hands. The horses were as swift as the wind and followed the king. The elephants had originated in the Himalayas and were like mountains. Ah, ha, ha, ha. This part Vivek Debra has spoken about in his some of his speeches as well. There are beautiful descriptions of how elephants are compared, clouds are compared with elephants. There was a beautiful term in Sanskrit, which is not written here, obviously. It would be great to read these things in an Indian language. The elephants had originated in the Himalayas and were like mountains. Their tusks were like the shafts of plows, and they were always in must. Musth. They were 60 years old. They had golden harnesses and were decorated with flags and bells that made a sound. All of them were skilled in ensuring victory in battles, and they followed him. There were innumerable foot soldiers with javelins and swords in their hands. Why did they have javelins and swords in their hands? Because someone was the other. They wore divine garlands and garments. They were smeared with divine fragrances. All of them were young, with polished earrings, and they followed him. All of them were brave and skilled in the use of all weapons. They were always eager to fight. All the women who resided in the inner quarters were ornamented. They possessed youth and beauty, and were adorned with all the ornaments. All of them wore divine garments and were decorated with divine garlands. Their limbs were smeared with divine fragrances, and their faces were like the autumn moon. They were slender waisted, attired in beautiful garments. The locks of hair made their hair look beautiful. Their lips were like bimba fruit, and their teeth were beautiful. Their eyes were as large as lotus petals. Their mouths were tinged with betel leaves, and the guards protected them properly. There were superior and inferior vehicles decorated with sparkling jewels and gold. All the bards, bards, all the bards sang and minstrels chanted praise. They followed the king, surrounded by those with weapons in their hands. There were courtesans who were beautiful in all their limbs, decorated with many kinds of ornaments. They were extremely beautiful and extremely fortunate. They were beautiful and possessed all the feminine qualities. All of them were in many kinds of vehicles, decorated with all the different kinds of ornaments. This entire retinue surrounded the king and followed him. There were Brahmanas who knew the Vedas and the Vedangas and were conversant with the purport or the true meaning of many sacred texts. There were Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. There were the 8 different kinds of Shudras. Okay, now Bibek Debra writes a footnote here. There were 8 different types of Shudras, though the listing varies. For instance, Vyadha, hunter; Vyalagrahi, those who eat snakes; Vagatita, one with whom one does not speak; Chandala, one who has a Brahmana mother and Shudra father, and so on. There were the 8 different kinds of Shudras. There were goldsmiths, ironsmiths, those who crushed stones, jewelers, potters, those who worked in leather, cooks, shopkeepers, those who worked in cane, cane, those who made canes, artisans who made covers, barbers, those who worked with gourds, gourds, for musical instruments, those who made arrows, those who were self employed, which means this seems to be the only way to interpret the word Svajivina. Yeah, so Vivek Debroy is basically saying that the word is Svajivina, and who knows what it means. I just translated it as self employed. Who knows what their actual profession was. Then there were goldsmiths, sword makers, those who prepared oblations, meaning prayers and yeah, basically ways of prayers. Bearers, those who made sweetmeats, those who sold water, garland makers, those who determined auspicious days, meaning parvakara, those who decided which were the auspicious days, probably panjika vanjika dekke. Those who sold everything, those all the traders who resided in villages, all the traders who resided in cities, those who sold weapons, those who earned a living by selling betel leaf, the sellers of grass, the sellers of wood, those who made a living from the stage, meat sellers, sellers of oil, garment sellers, fruit sellers, leaf sellers, those who gathered fodder, thousands of washermen, cowherds, barbers, tailors, shepherds, those who herded goats, those who looked after deer, those who looked after swans, those who sold paddy, Saktu sellers. Saktu क्या है? Pounded ground meal, colloquially known as sattu. Okay, Saktu बोला जाता था. So okay, remember guys, so sattu is actually Saktu. Sellers of molasses, those who earned a living from salt, singers, dancers, those who chanted auspicious songs, bhajan, actors, raconteurs, Raconteurs, those who accomplished those accomplished in the Puranas, poets, those who had kavya composed, those accomplished in many kinds of kavya, those who countered poison, Garudas, meaning Garudas constructed charms against snake poison. Whoa. Those who tested many kinds of jewels, those who worked with bellows, meaning blacksmiths, those who worked with copper, those who worked with bell metal, Ruthakas, Ruthakas meaning etymologically those who would strike, probably assistants to various smiths, जो लोग मारेंगे वो लोहे पे. Makers of scabbards, जहाँ पे sword घुसता है. Painters, those who turned laths, Lathes. Those who purified, the makers of rods, the makers of swords, those who earned a living from liquor and gambling. Wrestlers, messengers, kayasthas. Kayasthas in this sense means used in the sense of accountants. Other kinds of artisans, weavers, beauticians, those who made wicks and oil for lamps, those who वो प्रदीप के लिए, those who caught quails, those who caught partridges, those who earned a living from animals and birds, those who treated elephants, those who treated horses, those who treated men, those who treated trees, those who treated cattle, and those who were skilled in slashing and burning. There were other citizens who have not been mentioned. Along with their wealth, jewels, gold, wives, and companions, all the residents of the city followed the king. In a village, when the father departs for another village, all the sons eagerly follow him. Like that, the citizens followed him, and the prosperous king was surrounded by a large number of people. The elephants, horses, chariots, and foot soldiers advanced slowly. ये पूरा का पूरा एक बहुत ही विराट ग्रुप ऐसे ही पैदल चल रहा है gradually. Okay, let me just check some comments. Anushka is saying non-duality isn't non-violence. I recognize it can come across that way, and that finite comment can't do justice to the infinite potential of this concept. Yeah, fair enough. अगर एक comment में पूरा द्वैत वेदांत समझ जाते तब तो कोई problem ही नहीं था. Abhay Agarwal is saying Prashant wants us to ignore dharma while pursuing selective kama artha and pure moksha, not good for a healthy society. I see. Okay, now this is out of my pay grade because I don't know enough about these things. Surprisingly, Prashant isn't against the idea of picking up the weapon to kill when it calls for it. Okay. He has also been vocal about the industrial scale rapes, massacres, and plunder caused by invaders. Interesting. See, there are interesting sides to many people. Okay, Vinay Singh is saying, I support Advait Vedanta. I believe in Hinduness. I practice ahimsa, not ahimsa. Okay, ये क्या बोला विनय? I practice ahimsa, not ahinsa. What's the difference here? If you are believing one consciousness, then people who do not believe in one consciousness, then you must be oppressing them. Yeah, that is a problem. Guys, people call Bharatendu Harishchandra. 80% Hindus are Advaitins. He called Kantara right-wing propaganda. He compared it to Nazi propaganda. Yes, yes. Dada, have you read my comment? Yeah, Binay. In the beginning, I read all your comments and we discussed it. Does Shaivism and Shaktism follow Advaita philosophy? Yeah, no idea. These things I don't know yet. I'll have to read up this bunch of 3 books, History of Indian Philosophy. उसके बाद ये सब मेरे दिमाग में घुसेगा. So far, I'm just a beginner, excited kid learning these things for the first time. Okay, let me have a sip of coffee. Yeah, Ninar, exactly. Well said. Vivek Debray's translating ability is pretty remarkable. The text sounds so beautiful in English too. And interestingly, did I tell you guys this story that in the Facebook Indian Libertarians discussion group, people were criticizing Vivek Debray and saying that he's a loser because he got kicked out of PhD or he dropped out of PhD, which he did actually. He went for PhD in Cambridge, then just did the masters and returned. So uh, and I then asked a lot of my PhD pursuing friends that is this common or was he really bad in his studies. Then they said that no, it's pretty common. But then the other thing we need to remember is what are his actual academic contributions. It's not that like he just made up a Instagram or YouTube channel and propagated Hinduism as much as possible. He has made genuine, productive, hard, evidence based uh, things that are helping Hinduism, that are helping the Hindu cause, that are helping in propagating these wisdoms and these fascinating stories further. विवेक देब्रा इज प्रोबेबली द ओनली वन जिसका तुम अगर बिब्लियोग्राफी स्क्रॉल करना शुरू करोगे अमेजोन में या विकिपीडिया में खत्म नहीं होगा. 40-50 बुक्स इसने लिखा है और ट्रांसलेट किया है और पेपर्स तो छोड़ दो और कितना है. You'll have to spend an entire lifetime just reading Vivek Debroy if you have a full-time job on the side. You want to be able to finish how much he has just written. Kashmir Shaivism does talk about non-duality. Ahimsa means minimization of violence. Oh, I didn't know. Because in Bengali we have just one word, ahimsa. So how would you differentiate between ahimsa and ahinsa? Are you making it up? Are you joking, or are you actually saying that these are 2 words, that ahimsa and ahinsa? Because otherwise, in Bengali, I don't think there are 2 words for this. Whether you are Shaivite, Shaktite, or Vaishnavite, you can have both dual and non-dual approach to it. I see. Okay. So, in this way, after a long period of time, the Lord, the King, this is Brahma saying, the Lord, the King, reached the shores of the Southern Ocean. अरे मध्य प्रदेश से पैदल पूरा Southern Ocean में पहुंच गए, अवंती से, followed by his army. He saw the ocean there, and it seemed to be dancing. It was turbulent because of hundreds of thousands of waves. It was the store of many kinds of jewels and was full of many kinds of creatures. It was full of great wonders, and there were many billows and waves. It was the king of all Tirthas, king of Tirthas. It roared loudly, and the other shore could not be seen. It was extremely terrible. It was fathomless, resembling a large mass of clouds. It was the abode of Makaras. Makar. This was okay. Makar. I forgot. Makar किस shark को बोलते हैं क्या? या crabs को बोलते हैं. I forgot. This ocean of salt waters was full of fish, tortoises, conch shells, oysters, crocodiles, skatefish, porpoises, crabs, and extremely virulent snakes. It was the lord of the rivers and was the place where Hari lies down. It was sacred and destroyed all sins. So you see different parts of this is written in different times. अभी ओशियन बोला था अभी, और अभी 2 मिनट बाद रिवर्स बोल रहे हैं. So these are different compilations you can see from different eras. It conferred all the fruits that one desired. There were many deep eddies that Danavas resided in. It was the origin of the divine Amrita. It was the lord of the waters and the source of the gods. Among everything that sustains the breath of life in creatures, it was the most special. Among everything sacred, it was the most sacred. Among everything auspicious, it was the most auspicious. It was the supreme Tirtha. It was an undecaying Tirtha that was the lord of all aquatic creatures. The foundation for measuring the waxing and waning of the moon is based on it. No creature could penetrate it. It was the store of the Amrita of the gods. It was the eternal cause behind creation, preservation, and destruction. It was the sacred source of life for everyone. It was the lord of the male and female rivers. On seeing it, the best among kings was filled with great wonder. Having reached the shores of the ocean, he set up a residence there, in that sacred and lovely region where the ground possesses all the qualities. It was surrounded by Shala, Kadamba, Punnaga, Sarala trees, Pansa, Narikela, Bakula, Nagakeshara, Kharjura, Pippala, Tala, Naranga, Bijapuraka, Shala, Amrataka, Lodhra, Bakula, Bahuvaraka, Kapitha, Karnikara, Patala, Ashoka, Champaka, Dadima, Tamala, Parijata, Arjuna, Prachinamalaka, Bilva, Priyangu, Vata, Khadira, Inguda. Inguda is a medicinal tree. Saptaparna, Ashwatha, Agastya, Jambuka, Madhuka, Karnikara, Bahuvara, Tinduka, Palasha, Badri, Nipa, Siddha, Nimba, Shubhanjana, Varaka, Kovidara, Bhalla, Amalaka, Tala, Hintala, Kankola, Karanja, Vibhitaka, Sarja, Madhuka, Kashmira, Shalmali, Devadaru, Shakhotaka, Nimbavata, Kumbhi, Koshtha, Haritaka, Gugula, Chandana trees, Aguru, Patala, Jambira, Karuna trees, Tindika, red Chandana, and many other kinds of trees. There were trees that always granted every object of desire. They were full of flowers and fruits from all the seasons. There were the divine sounds of many intoxicated bird callings, kokilas, large numbers of mayuras, shukas, sarikas, haritas, bhringarajas, chatakas, bahuputras, jivajivakas, kakolas, कालाविंकाज. ओके, ककोलाज क्या है? फुटनोट है रेवन्स. अच्छा, ककोलाज आर बेसिकली अ वर्जन ऑफ क्रोज. देन बहुपुत्रा क्या है? द सेम एज प्रियपुत्रा. अच्छा, तो प्रियपुत्रा क्या है? प्रियपुत्रा नहीं, आई लॉस्ट इट. प्रियपुत्रा यहाँ पे नहीं था, पहले कहीं पे था. ओके, बहुपुत्राज, जीवा जीवाकाज, ककोलाज, कालाविंकाज, kapotas, kapotas, or yeah, kapotas, and many other birds that called in tones that were pleasant to the ear. They called, perched atop the tops of blossoming trees. There were clumps of ketaki, always full of white flowers. There were mallika and kunda flowers, yuthika, tagara, kutaja, bana flowers, atimukta, kubjaka, malati, karavira, golden plantain, and many other kinds of flowers. अच्छा, कुटजा क्या है? Kind of coral tree. I see. Yuthika क्या है? Kind of jasmine. Great. They were very fragrant and beautiful to behold. There were forests, groves, and gardens of many colors, extremely fragrant. They were full of large numbers of Vidyadharas, frequented by Siddhas, Charanas, Gandharvas, Uragas, Rakshasas, Bhutas, Apsharas, Kinnaras, sages, large numbers of yakshas, and many other kinds of creatures. The place was full of deer, monkeys, lions, boar, and buffaloes. There were many other kinds of animals, like black antelopes. There were tigers, crazy elephants, and others that roamed around in the forest. There were many kinds of trees in gardens that were like Nandana. There were canopies of creepers and shrubs, lata, and different types of water bodies, full of hamsas, ducks, or swans, karandavas, kadambas, plavas, and chakravakas. Clumps of lotuses decorated the place. There were lotuses with 100 petals, water lilies, white lotuses, and blue lotuses. There were other kinds of aquatic birds and flowers that grew in water and in the ocean. There were mountains with blazing summits. Aha, blazing summits. क्या description है man. Blazing summits समझ रहे हो क्यों बोल रहा है कि वो माउंटेन पीक पे ऐसे सनलाइट पड़ रहा है उस पे कि इट लुक्स लाइक इट्स ऑन फायर. मतलब पूरा बंगाली में तो झलसानो बोलते हैं. आई वंडर व्हाट वुड बी अ ग्रेट हिंदी वर्ड फॉर इट. So anyway, it seems like the summit is on fire because the sunlight is so bright on the summit, on the peak of the mountain. There were mountains with blazing summits, ornamented by beautiful valleys. They were covered with many kinds of trees and decorated with diverse kinds of ores, ores. The auspicious summits were wonderful and were the abodes of many kinds of creatures. There were all the different herbs and extensive peaks were there were all the different herbs and the extensive peaks were colorful. The place was decorated in all these wonderful ways and was very pleasant to the mind. The king saw the region that was worshipped by 3 worlds. It was 10 yojanas in length and 5 yojanas wide. This kshetra was extremely rare and was full of great wonders. Okay, let me have a sip of coffee and check out some comments again. I have heard Jordan Peterson also say about Gandhi's non-violence being inspired from Tolstoy. अच्छा, yeah, I plan to read War and Peace. देखते हैं उसके बाद क्या होगा. Nina is saying violence is not at all condemnable in many contexts. Even bali or sacrifice is sacred to us. Let me just check. Yeah, so Binay Singh is saying Gandhi said practice ahimsa. Krishna said to Arjuna practice ahimsa. Acha, I never knew this. Nina is saying agree with you, and plus he has great knowledge of economics too. Yeah, definitely. And this is why you have to be a Sanskritist, not just a random Sanskrit. थोड़ा थोड़ा 2-3 दिन पढ़ लिया, एक कोर्स कर लिया संस्कृत का. That does not make you विवेक देबरॉय. You have to be a Sanskritist. उसके लिए अपने इंडियन कोई लैंग्वेज का जो मदर टंग है अपना, उसमें भी बहुत प्रोफिशिएंट होना है. उसके बाद संस्कृत जानना पड़ेगा. एंड उसमें आई थिंक बंगालीज का एक एडवांटेज लग रहा है बिकॉज एज आई एम रीडिंग मोर एंड मोर Sanskrit primary source texts or even the translations, I'm realizing we in Bengali we use so many of these ancient words even today in Bengali casually in our modern dialect, in modern Prakrit day-to-day colloquial languages as well. We use so many ancient Sanskrit words. So I think Bibek Devroy has an advantage there. Gandhi twisted the concept of Krishna's ahimsa. Ahimsa is also the core theme of Jainism. Is Hindu definition of ahimsa different from Jain definition? Makar is not a real animal. It is one of the vahanas of Varuna, I think. I see. But it looks similar to dolphin or crocodile. Okay. Makar Sankranti is related to that only, I guess. Dada, Rama might never travel to south or Ravan Lanka is not in Sri Lanka but near Saurashtra Sea. I see. Do not participate in unprovoked violence, but violence and retaliation is allowed. This is according to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. I see. Hindus forget about Durja. Hindu forget Raktbis. Oh, Durga you mean. Okay, yeah. Jain interpretation of ahimsa is pacifism. Okay. Hindus forget everything. Surajkant is pissed off. Nina is saying when the other person is doing a wrong and he won't listen even after 1,000 calls, then we pick up arms and beat him till he understands. This is the principle in Ramayana too. Anushka Tyagi is saying Gandhi's version of ahimsa was deeply influenced by Leo Tolstoy's The Kingdom of God Within You. I see. Which reflects his interpretation of Jesus Christ's teachings. I see. Interesting. I see. I'm going to get a Gita from Gita Press. Yes. I have heard that it has one of the most authentic commentaries. Yes. Nino is saying violence is not at all condemnable in. Yeah. ये तो हो गया. गीता प्रेस डज बेस्ट हिंदी ट्रांसलेशंस. आई एम नॉट श्योर इफ यू रीड हिंदी. गीता प्रेस का कुछ बंगाली ट्रांसलेशंस भी है, मगर आई डिड नॉट फाइंड द रामायण एंड गीता. गीता और रामायण का ही बंगाली नहीं मिला, बाकी कुछ पुराण का बंगाली ट्रांसलेशंस मिल गया. एटलीस्ट ऑनलाइन तो अवेलेबल नहीं है. Hindus should know about रक्त बीज. Yes, I have heard Jordan Peterson. Yeah, okay. जापानीज नाम वाले आपका नाम क्या है? प्रशांत त्यागी. अरे कितने त्यागी है यहाँ पे, सब लोगों ने, आपके एंसेस्टर्स ने बहुत त्याग किया है. बंगाली इज डैम क्लोज टू संस्कृत. या हम भूल गए हैं सर जी. यस, इवन ग्रामेटिकल स्ट्रक्चर्स आर कॉमन. या वेरी मच. So this sub chapter has an interesting name, guys. Check this out. This is very curious. This sub chapter's name is earlier accounts. So this might be some older versions and older sections of Brahma Purana. Okay. So the sages asked, the sages meaning people who are sitting in front of Brahma and listening to him speak. Okay. So the sages asked, quote, this was Purushottama's sacred and excellent Vaishnava Kshetra, the one we just learned of. Okay. Purushottama ka ye Vaishnav Kshetra tha. Oh Lord, why had an image of Vishnu not been established there earlier? In English, oftentimes image means simply an idol. Okay. Oh one who grants everything auspicious, having gone there with his army and his mounts, why did the king have to establish Krishna, Rama, and Bhadra there? O Lord of the universe, we have a great doubt about this and are surprised. We wish to hear the reason for this. Please tell us. End quote. Brahma replied, quote, listen, I will tell you what happened earlier. This account destroys sins. I will tell you briefly. Earlier, Shri asked Hari about this. The golden summit of Sumeru is full of all kinds of wonders. It is beautiful and populated by Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Yakshas, Kinnaras, gods, Danavas, Gandharvas, Nagas, several Apsaras, sages, Guhyakas, Sauparnas, and all the categories of Maruts. There are the abodes of many other gods, the Sadhyas, Kashyapa, and the other lords of subjects, and Valakhilyas, and others. It is lovely and extremely agreeable. There are divine Karnikara blossoms everywhere, resembling gold in complexion and as radiant as the sun. There are many other kinds of trees, forests of Shala, Tala, Punnaga, Ashoka, Sarala, Nyagrodha, Amrataka, Arjuna, Parijata, Amra, Khadira, Nipa, Bilva, Kadamba, Dhava, Khadira, Palasha, Shirshamala, Tinduka, Naranga, Kola, Bakula, Lodhra, Dadima trees, Sarja, Karna, Tagara, Shishibhurja, and Nimba. अच्छा, कोला क्या है देखते हैं. Kola is Kankola, I see. There were many other golden trees, which bent down because of the burden of the fruit. The gods and many kinds of excellent and fragrant flowers decorated the place. Malati, Yuthika, Mallika, Kunda, Bana, Kuruntaka, Karavira, Gupta, Ketaki, Kubjaka, Kimshuka, Patala, Agastya, Kutaja, and Mandara flowers. There were many other kinds of flowers that brought pleasure to the mind. There were large numbers of different types of birds that called in melodious voices. Male cuckoos called, and there were the divine calls of intoxicated peacocks. There were many different kinds of trees, many different kinds of flowers, and many different kinds of birds. It was a beautiful place, frequented by the gods. Jagannatha, the undecaying creator of the universe, was there. The one who ordains the worlds and is known by the name of the undecaying Vasudeva was there. For the sake of the welfare of the worlds, the goddess who was born from the lotus bowed her head down and asked the excellent one a great question. Shri said, O Lord of all the worlds, there is a doubt in my heart. Please tell me about it. The world of mortals is an extremely wonderful karma bhumi and is extremely rare. It is a great ocean where one is seized by crocodiles like greed, confusion, desire, and anger. O Lord of the gods, I am bowing down before you. O Lord of all the gods, how can one be liberated from this ocean of samsara? If it pleases you, please clear up this doubt. Other than you, there is no one who can answer. End quote. Janardana, god of the gods, heard her words and was greatly pleased. He spoke about the great essence, and it was like Amrita. The illustrious one said, O goddess, the famous Purushottama is established in a supreme Tirtha. He is easily worshipped. He can be easily reached, and the charming one confers extremely great fruits. In the three worlds, there is no one who is his equal. By chanting about this god, one is freed from all sins. O one with the beautiful face, the immortals do not know about this place, nor do the Daityas and the Danavas. I have also kept it secret from the excellent sages, Marichi and the others. I will now tell you about this king among Tirthas. It's so this particular Kshetra is king of Kshetras, okay? One with the excellent hips, or one with the excellent face. Listen with single minded attention. When the earlier Kalpa ended, all the mobile and immobile objects were destroyed. The gods, the Gandharvas, the Daityas, the Vidyadharas, and the Uragas were destroyed. Everything was immersed in darkness, and nothing could be discerned. The only one who was awake and was the Paramatman, who is in the Atmans of all beings, the preceptor of the universe. He is the prosperous one who created the three forms of the God, the creator of the universe, and Maheshwara. He is the Lord Hari, famous as Vasudeva. He has yoga in his Atman. When the slumber of his yoga was over, he created a lotus from his navel, and the undecaying Brahma was created from the center, which resembled the filament of a lotus. Brahma, the great lord of all the worlds, manifested himself in this fashion. Gradually, he created the five elements. The measures and origins of the gross elements were based on the subtle elements. Okay, सूक्ष्म ग्रॉस का संस्कृत वर्जन क्या है मैं भूल गया. आई थिंक लौकिक probably, and subtle elements is shukshma, and in Bengali we use these words every day. We call it shukho. Prajapati Brahma created mobile and immobile objects and the four kinds of beings. Having thought about it in his mind, he created many kinds of subjects. There were Marichi and all the other sages, Gandharvas, Uragas, and Rakshasas. There were the 14 worlds, the 7 including heaven, and the nether regions, which means Patala, Naraka, etc. He created Dvipas, oceans, and Ganga and other rivers. He created Yakshas, Vidyadharas, and others. O goddess, he created men, Vanaras, many kinds of birds, those born from wombs, those born from eggs, those born from sweat, and trees and plants. He created the four categories of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and also the other categories of Antyaja and Mlecha. Antyaja can loosely be translated as outcast. Literally, it means someone who is born in the extremities of the main habitation, who lives in the forest, obviously, forest dwellers. Panchama. Mlecha can loosely be translated as barbarian, but means someone who does not speak Sanskrit. Brahma created everything in the universe that is described as living, grass, creeper, or ant. He created mobile and immobile objects. Having thought about it, he created a man from the right side of his body and a woman from the left side. Thus, he created two types of beings. So, you see, there are international consensus on these things. The yin and yang, the Carl Jung theory, order and chaos. That's all the male and female parts of things, the masculine and the feminine. Thus, he created two types of beings. Since then, subjects have been born in the world through sexual intercourse. Having thought about it, in those ancient times, the god who originated in the water created superior, middling, and inferior Kshetras. Superior, middling, inferior Kshetras. He then meditated on Vasudeva's body. This meditated on Vasudeva's body means he thought about it. He gave it a deep, uh, uh, thinking, and basically, mm, he then meditated on Vasudeva's body. So yeah, he concentrated a lot and thought about it. Dhyana. As soon as he had been meditated upon, at that very instant, Janardana manifested himself. He had 1,000 eyes, 1,000 feet, and 1,000 heads. He was the being with eyes like lotuses. His body had the complexion of clouds filled with water, and his handsome form bore the Shrivatsa mark. Brahma, the grandfather of the worlds, suddenly saw him. He honored him with a seat. He honored him with a seat, Arghya, Padya, and Akshata. Virinchi controlled himself properly and praised him with an excellent hymn. Virinchi kaun hai? Okay, Virinchi is Brahma. So now we are going to get into the hymn. At this, I spoke to God Brahma, who had been born from the lotus. O son, you have been meditating on me now. Tell me the reason for this. Brahma replied, O Lord of the gods, in the world of mortals, there are paths that act as roads to heaven, sacrifices, donations, vows, yoga, truth, austerities, faith, and many kinds of tirthas. But these are extremely difficult to achieve. For the welfare of the world, with the exception of these, please tell me about something that can be achieved easily. O Lord of the universe, tell me about the best spot. O Purushottama, tell me about the most excellent place. O beloved one, hearing Vidhatri's words, I spoke to him. O Brahma, listen. There is an extremely rare and sparkling place on earth. It is blessed and supreme among all Kshetras and helps to cross samsara. It is sacred and ensures the welfare of cattle and brahmanas. It brings happiness to the four varnas. This is an extremely beautiful Kshetra that confers objects of pleasure and emancipation on men. O great grandfather, it proves to be extremely auspicious for all those who reside there. This is the eternal king of Tirthas and is a famous and supreme Kshetra that originated there. In the four yugas, all the gods, rishis, brahmacharis, daityas, danavas, siddhas, gandharvas, uragas, rakshasas, nagas, vidyadharas, and mobile and immobile objects resort to it. Since the excellent Purusha is there, it is known as Purushottama. This is an extremely rare Kshetra that is there on the shores of the southern ocean. It is 10 yojnas in expanse, and a Nyagrodha tree stands there. When the end of the Kalpa arrives and all the worlds are destroyed, the tree is not destroyed. It remains in that place. If one sees that fig tree and comes under the cover of its shadow, one is freed from the sin of killing a Brahmana, not to speak of other sins. If creatures perform pradakshina around it and bow down to it, all their sins are cleansed and they go to Keshava's abode. The spot that is to the south of the Nyagrodha and slightly north of Keshava is a supreme place that is full of dharma, and there is a palace there. The image that the image that there is the image that is there has been constructed by the divinity himself. In this case, image means ek idol, ek statue, ek murti. The image that is there has been constructed by the divinity himself. Men who see it go easily to my world. O beloved one, once Dharmaraja, meaning Yama, went there and saw it. He came to my presence, bowed his head down, and spoke to me. Yama said, O illustrious God, O protector of the worlds, O Lord of the universe, I bow down to you. O God who resides in the ocean of milk, O one who lies down on the serpent known as Shesha, you are supreme among all those who bestow boons. You are the one who should be worshipped. You are the Lord and Creator, and you have not been created. O Lord of the universe, O one without birth, O Vishnu, you are the omniscient, and you are never vanquished. Your complexion is like that of a blue lotus. Your eyes are like lotus petals. You know everything. You are devoid of gunas. You are serene. You are the undecaying creator of the universe. You are the creator of all the worlds. You bring happiness to all the worlds. You are the ancient Purusha. You are the one who should be known. You are manifest and you are not manifest. You are eternal. You are the creator of everything superior and inferior. You are the protector of the worlds. You are the preceptor of the universe. Your chest has the Shrivatsa mark. You are adorned in a garland of wildflowers. You wear yellow garments. You possess 4 arms. You hold a conch shell, a chakra, and a mace. Mace meaning gada, something like what I have here. You wear necklaces, bracelets, a diadem, and armlets. You possess all the auspicious signs. You are devoid of all the senses. You are deep and immobile. You are subtle, Shukshma. Your form is full of radiance. You are eternal. You are beyond existence and non existence. Ah, you pervade everything. You are beyond Prakriti. O protector of the worlds, O Lord, O one who bestows bliss, O Lord, I bow down to you. End quote. In those ancient times near the Nyagrodha tree, Dharmaraja praised me. This is Brahma talking about Yama. He praised me with many kinds of hymns and prostrated himself. O immensely fortunate one, I saw him standing there, bowed down, his hands joined in salutation. O goddess, I asked death. I asked death about the reason for this praise. Quote, O Vaivasvata, O mighty armed one, you are supreme among all the gods. Why are you praising me? Tell me briefly. End quote. Dharmaraja replied, quote, in this sacred and famous shrine of Purushottama, there is an excellent murti that is completely made out of sapphire. Sapphire is Indranila. O Pundarikaksha, one with eyes like a lotus, it grants all the objects of desire. On seeing it, I was filled with devotion. Devoid of desire, if men see it, they go to the region known as Shveta, Shveta Dvipa. O destroyer of enemies, hence I am unable to go about my work. O extremely great God, O Lord, therefore show me your favors and withdraw this murti. Hearing Vaivasvata's words, I replied to him, O Yama, in every direction I will hide it in sand. O goddess, I thus hid the image inside the earth, that murti, so that men who desired to go to heaven would no longer be able to see it. O goddess, I hid it inside. I hid it inside the ground and covered it up with a golden spread, meaning sand. After this, I asked Yama to leave for his own city in the southern direction. Okay, let me check some comments once again. Maximus Prime, I'm not going mad. I just heard that. I just heard that ghost. Lol. Are kaha ghost? Suraj Khan, there are already organizations that you can donate for this. Although I agree, the money of temples should only be used for temple management and furthering the cause of dharma. Yes. Suraj Khan is saying if there is something, then it need to be transparent, and the president should be selected as per qualification means test. Yes. At least major tirthas should be adopted this way. Yes. Okay. Let's see if any other important comments have come. Something wrong, I guess. We have missionaries, they don't aim to convert though. Brahmasya, Brahmagya, Brahmana, Hudam. Okay, पूरा श्लोक लिख दिया है Maximus ने. Oh yeah, yesterday's. हिंदू को कुछ ऐसा करना पड़ेगा कि जिससे मंदिर का फंड एक मिशनरी फंड बन जाए. यस. एंड उसके लिए तुमको रास्ते पे स्ट्राइक करना पड़ेगा, गाड़ी वाड़ी रोकना पड़ेगा. Okay, let me have a sip of coffee, then I'll continue. Brahma continued, quote, O Brahmanas, O Indras among Brahmanas, in that supreme, sacred, and famous Kshetra of Purushottama, the image made out of sapphire, the Murti made out of sapphire, Indranila, disappeared in this way. O Brahmanas, the illustrious Janardana, god of the gods, recounted everything that had happened in those ancient times to the illustrious one, meaning Shri, Indradyumna's departure. So, the illustrious Janardana, god of the gods, recounted everything that had happened in those times to the illustrious one. And what did he illustrate? What did he describe? Indradyumna's departure. His seeing the Kshetra, the description of the Kshetra, the building of the palace, the horse sacrifice, the vision in his dream, his seeing the wood on the shores of the salty ocean, his sight of Vasudeva, king among artisans, the making of the image in particular, the colors, the instatement in a palace that was supreme in the world, the chanting about the Kalpa at the time of the procession. We have translated Yatra as procession and Sankirtana as chanting. Markandeya's conduct, the statement of Shankara, the greatness of the five Tirthas, the sight of the one who holds a trident in his hand, the sight of the fig tree and its beneficent consequences. In particular, the sight of Baladeva, Krishna, and Shubhadra. The general greatness, the sight of Narasimha, and chanting about the beneficial consequences, chanting about the auspicious sight of Ananta Vasudeva, the greatness of Shweta Madhava, the vision of the gate to heaven, the sight of the ocean and bathing and water rides there, the greatness of Indradyumna's bath in the ocean, the fruits of the five Tirthas and Mahajyeshtha, the abodes of Krishna and the wielder of the plough. So Mahajyeshtha kaun hai? Mahajyeshtha is interpreted as the full moon day in the month of Jaishtha. Okay, Mahajyeshtha. But may also be a reference to astronomical measurements based on Jupiter's 12-year cycle. For instance, when Jupiter rises in the nakshatra of Jaishtha, this is known as Mahajyeshtha. I see. And wielder of the plough is obviously Balarama. The fruits of all the processions, the description of Vishnu's world, and a description of the Kshetra yet again. Purushottama told her all this. Now we will start a subchapter called Description of Kshetras. Let me have some coffee again. Interesting. Nidar is saying, Dada, by the way, if you want to read translations of major epics of Puranas, you can, major epics or Puranas, you can also check the IIT Kanpur Gita Super site. Arey bapre. They have even Bengali versions there. Acha, I never knew this. Can we borrow that one bus that is usually burned? At least major teachers should, yeah, we have to create our system. Yes, true. We have to speak about it, then situation will become better. ঠিক ই হ্যায়। তুমি কোনো বাংলা স্ট্রিম করছো না? হ্যাঁ, করব। I will do some Bengali streams as well, but the priority is English streams because most of my audience is not Bengali. So अभी 1-2 दिन Brahma Purana or geopolitics ho gaya. So we will again start with Bengali live streams. But I'm not going to do the Ramayana, the Ram Puja history in Bengal live stream. Okay, I've decided to cancel that because I'm afraid of copyright strikes. Even Penguin can do a copyright strike on my channel for discussing this book, but I still have hope because it's after all an ancient Indian text. We kind of are the copyright owners of this. Of course, I'm not the copyright owner of Vivek Debray's hard work here, but I've given a link, etc. So I just hope Penguin will be understanding. So when we discuss, when we start do a Bengali live stream, what we are going to discuss is some geopolitics, some local news, etc. But also the Bengali Rigveda. We will start a full live stream on that. Okay. Are you ready, guys? Description of Kshetras, different kinds of temples. Not different kinds of temples, different tirthas. The sages asked, O God, what else did the Lord of the earth do? We wish to hear the rest of the account. Having gone to that supreme Kshetra, what did the Lord of men do? Brahma replied, O tigers among sages, listen, I will tell you what the Lord of the earth did after going there and seeing the Kshetra. The Lord of the earth went to the Kshetra that is famous in the three worlds. He saw the beautiful spots and the rivers. There is an extremely sacred river there, and it emerges from the feet of the Vindhyas. It is famous as Vindhyapala. It is auspicious and destroys all sins. It has a great flow and resembles the Ganga. It flows towards the southern ocean. That supreme river, full of sacred waters, is known by the name of Mahanadi. She is the beloved wife of the southern ocean and is adorned with hundreds of daughters. Aha, क्या geography का description है. This Mahanadi is the beloved wife of the southern ocean and is adorned with hundreds of daughters, which means different tributaries, obviously. So Bibek Debroy writes a footnote that it's tributaries. O tigers among sages, villages and cities can be seen on both banks of the river. They are beautiful and full of crops. They are populated by healthy and happy people, wearing garments and ornaments. There are separate categories of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras engaged in their own dharma. सब अपना अपना काम कर रहे हैं. They can be seen auspicious and possessing the good signs. Their mouths are full of betel leaves and they are decorated with garlands and other things. The mouths of the Brahmanas are full of lines from the Vedas and the six Vedangas. Some of them are engaged in Agnihotra rites and some are engaged in other rites of worship. They are accomplished in all the sacred texts. They perform sacrifices with copious quantities of dakshina. At crossroads, along royal roads, in forests, groves, assembly halls, mansions, and temples, those great people can hear Itihasa, Puranas, the Vedas, the Vedangas, Kavya, and sacred texts being recited in excellent ways. The women who reside in that region are proud of their youth and beauty. They possess all the good signs and possess large hips. Their dark faces are like lotuses or the autumn moon. Their breasts are peaked. All of them are prosperous and beautiful to behold. They wear golden bangles and are ornamented in divine garments. They are like the pith of plantain trees, meaning this probably means that their limbs are soft to touch. They have complexions like the filaments of lotuses. Their lower lips are like the bimba fruit. They are beautiful, with eyes that extend all the way up to the ears. Their faces are excellent and their hair is beautiful. They bend down because of the weight of the necklaces. Some have eyes like red lotuses. Others have eyes like blue lotuses, Nilkamal. Others are slender in their limbs, with teeth that are like flashes of lightning. They are radiant, with curly hair that is parted in the middle. Their necks are adorned with ornaments and are decorated with garlands. Their earrings are studded with jewels, and their karnapuras are lovely. A karnapura is an ornament of the ear. A earring, kundala, is in the lobe of the ear, while a karnapura is wound around the ear. I see. They resemble celestial women and are so apsaras, celestial women, and are seen to possess the auspicious signs. Those beautiful women sport with their fortunate husbands, singing divine songs. There are the agreeable sounds of veenas, flutes, two-sided drums, so dholak or mridangam, pakhwaj, etc. Drums, tambourines, conch shells, large drums, and many other kinds of musical instruments. Tambourines are the round thing like a ring, जिसके अंदर थोड़ा थोड़ा वो करताल वाले बेल्स होते हैं जो कि हाथ में ऐसे छिक छिक करके मार मार के बजाते हैं. They are always happy, playing with each other. They are accomplished in many songs and the playing of musical instruments. Those beautiful women are always happy, day and night, and are intoxicated by desire. The place is also populated by bhikshus, Vaikhanasas, Vaikhanas, Vaikhanas, Siddhas, brahmacharis, those who have obtained success through mantras, those who have obtained success through austerities, and those who have obtained success through sacrifices. अच्छा, वैखानस कौन है? Those who subsist on वाइल्ड ग्रेन, सिर्फ ये खा के जीते हैं जो लोग, उनको वैखाना वैखानसा बोला जाता है. ओके, आई हैव नेवर हर्ड दिस वर्ड, वैखानसाज. आई वंडर हाउ टू प्रोनाउंस इट. ओके, आई हर्ड समथिंग अगेन. अरे कहाँ से सुन रहे हो? ये चार चार क्या हुआ? ओ चर्चर. आई थिंक my mic cable is probably having some problem. I'll have to buy a new cable, I think. Hmm. Mike's cable is probably doing some problems. ओके, सूरजकांत सिंह, 12 ज्योतिर्लिंग पूरे भारत को संदेश पहुंचाने के लिए था, और फिर 12 ज्योतिर्लिंग को धर्म से जोड़ दिया गया. आई सी. Anushka Tyagi saying, I guess Kshetra refers to a sacred or holy place associated with a deity or a particular pilgrimage site. Different Kshetras are dedicated to various deities. Yes, yes. We actually had a different subchapter entirely on this, and that's where I also first came to know that Kshetra means a tirtha. I never knew that, because Kshetra in Bengali, Khetro, जिसको हम बोलते हैं, that basically means a section, any portion of a place, or any concept. But in Brahma Purana, I learned that in Sanskrit, Kshetra means tirtha, which is why Kshetrapala means the person protecting the Kshetra, because Pal means protector, Palana, Palan karna, Lalan Palan bolte hain jo. And that reminds me that all our surnames have such brilliant, interesting, fascinating histories, right? Like this surname, Tyagi. What are they famous for? For making sacrifices. त्याग कुछ किया था इसलिए इनका सरनेम ही बन गया त्यागी. क्या अजीब हिस्ट्री है. और कांत, कांत का तुम्ही कोण डिपार्टमेंटे पोधा, व्हाट डज दिस मीन? ओके, देन कांत सरनेम का मतलब क्या होगा? कांतो, कांत का संस्कृत का एटिमोलॉजी मुझे पता नहीं है, मगर द बंगाली ब्राह्मण सरनेम्स आर इनसेन, like Bhattacharya. Bhatta Brahmins, obviously from Karnataka. Bhatta Brahmins are the persons who are the priests who do the pujas in Nepal's Pashupatinath temple as well, right? So Bhatta Brahmins, who are also acharyas and teachers, they became Bhattacharyas in Bengal, or their Bengali versions are Bhattacharyas. Then Banerjees, whose actual surname is, the word is actually Bandyopadhyay. So Vandana karna, and wo by profession that person is also an upadhyay, because in Manusmriti we learned that there are different kinds of teachers, right? Different hierarchies hai, different ranks hai. किसी का रैंक है गुरु, किसी का रैंक है आचार्य. कौन ऊपर है कौन नीचे ये मैं भूल गया हूँ. तो किसी का रैंक है गुरु, किसी कोई है आचार्य, कोई है उपाध्याय. तो बंद्योपाध्याय वो है बैनर्जी. फिर चौधरी तो जो लोग जमींदार होते थे वो. और मेरा जो सरनेम है शाह, I searched really hard about this. Everywhere there are different versions of this surname Saha, but everywhere it means sahana, sahan karna. In Bengali also we have the same word for this, which is shodhyo kara, Sahya. So I guess Saha means people who can bear a lot of hardship and pain. Lol. In Hindi we made Kshetra and Khet, farm. Lol. Yes, even in Bengali, Khetro kind of means that. তুমি কোন ডিপার্টমেন্টে পড়ো? আমি কোনো ডিপার্টমেন্টে পড়ি না, আমার 32 বছর বয়স. আমি কলেজে জার্নালিজম পড়েছিলাম এক সময়, তারপরে ড্রপ আউট করেছিলাম থার্ড ইয়ারে. अनुष्का त्यागी, ये एक तथ्य है पर सोचो क्यों बनाया गया होगा. Okay, yeah, Anushka Tyagi is saying each Jyotirlinga is believed to be a manifestation of Lord Shiva himself, representing cosmic presence and a divine energy. Chattopadhyay means teacher of village. Yeah, or maybe an Upadhyaya of the Chattogram village, maybe. Or so many Chattopadhyayas lived in that village, that's why that place, name of that place became Chattogram, which is Chittagong in Bangladesh. Who knows? I don't know, at least. Okay, so where did we finish? Yeah. The king saw this Kshetra, which is extremely rare. He thought, quote, I will worship the illustrious and eternal one here. He is the preceptor of the universe. He is the supreme divinity. He is the supreme shore, Shore. He is the supreme destination. He is the Lord of all the lords. He is Vishnu Ananta, the unvanquished one. My mind knows now that this is Purushottama Kshetra. There is a giant Nyagrodha tree here, and it is like the tree that grants all the objects of desire. The god has himself hidden a murti made out of sapphire here, Indranila. No other auspicious image of or murti of Vishnu can be seen here. Vishnu, the god who is the lord of the universe, has truth as his valor. क्या line है? The god who is the lord of the universe, Vishnu, has truth as his valor. उनका valor है truth. And I will make efforts so that he manifests himself before me here. With single minded attention, I will use sacrifices, donations, austerities, oblations, meditation, fasting, supreme vows, and other decreed forms of worship. My mind will be on him. My mind will not be on anyone else. I will make efforts for the construction of Vishnu's temple. This is where a subchapter ends. Next subchapter is the king's horse sacrifice. Ashwamedha. Let me have a sip of coffee before that. Abhay Agarwal is asking what is Mukhopadhyay and Gangopadhyay. Off the top of my head, making a random guess here, Mukhopadhyay probably means people, Upadhyayas, teachers who taught orally, because Mukh means your lips or your mouth, right? सो जस्ट जो ओरली पढ़ाते थे उनको शायद मुखोपाध्याय बोला जाता था. गंगोपाध्याय क्या कौन होगा? उपाध्याय टीचर तो है ही. गंगा के किनारे कोई अगर उपाध्याय तो शायद, या फिर उनके घर गंगा के पास होता था, उन लोगों को शायद गंगोपाध्याय बोला जाता था, मे बी. ओके. Agarwal comes from Maharaja Agrasen. Yes. Here to learn is saying, I was just studying about Gotras. Their origins are interesting as well. Yes, I'm from the Alambayan Gotra. Interestingly, Rishi Alambayan was a Brahmin. So my Gotra was originally Brahmin, but at some point in the ancient times, medieval period, they decided to change castes and become Vaishyas and decided that, अरे वेद वेद पढ़ के क्या होगा, चलो थोड़ा business करते हैं. Are Shahas the same as Kayastha community? No, we are Vaishyas. You mean Kayastha, right? You probably misspelled writing Kayatha. हमें किसी और ने नहीं, हम लोगों का एक नहीं होना ने हराया. Yeah, definitely. My surname Chakravarti was given by Krishna Chandra Rai when my ancestors were made official landlords. Yeah, Chakravarti to means basically a king. Chakravarti. तो रूलर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, जो कोई भी किसी को उपाधि देना होता था या खुद को कुछ बड़ा बोलना था, उसका खुद का नाम चक्रवर्ती रख लेता था. अनुष्का त्यागी आर फिर से कम्युनिटी में बट गए. अरे फिर से कम्युनिटी में बट गए. No, we are discussing interesting lineages of our families. Okay, so king's horse sacrifice. Brahma said, "O best among Brahmanas, the Lord of the earth thought in this way and began arrangements for constructing Hari's place there, Lord Krishna's. He brought all the astrologers and those who are accomplished in texts about the stellar bodies. The king sanctified the land and was filled with great delight. He discussed the matter with learned Brahmanas who knew the purport of the Vedas, Rahasya, meaning, true meaning, essence, and other sacred texts, the advisors, the ministers, and those who are accomplished in the knowledge of Vastu. An auspicious day and Muhurta was chosen, when there was a good conjunction of the moon and the stars, and the planets were favorable. There were auspicious pronouncements of victory. So, Jaya Dhwani, okay? यही इंग्लिश में बोला जा रहा है. जय जय बोला लोगों ने. Accompanied by the charming sound of many musical instruments. There were the extremely melodious tones of the Vedas being recited and sung. Controlling himself, the king faithfully offered arghya, that consisted of pitchers filled with flowers, fried grain, unhusked grain, and fragrances, along with lamps. The Lord of the earth offered the arghya in the proper way. The king then spoke to the Lord of Kalinga, the brave Lord of Utkala, Orissa, and the Lord of Koshala. The king said, quote, "All of you control yourselves and go together for the sake of rocks. Take the best of artisans with you. Those who are accomplished in the art of craftsmanship. Mount Vindhya is extremely large and is decorated with many caves. Examine all the summits and break off auspicious rocks. Use innumerable carts to bring them here. Do not delay. End quote. In this way, the Lord of the earth instructed those kings to leave. He then addressed the advisors and the priests in these words. The king said, quote, "Let messengers go everywhere extremely fast and proclaim my command to all the kings who exist on earth. Following Indradyumna's command, let all of them come here with their elephants, horses, chariots, foot soldiers, advisors, and priests." The great souled king instructed the messengers in this way, and they went and told the kings what the Lord of the earth had said. Hearing the words of all the messengers, all the kings swiftly arrived, surrounding themselves with their own soldiers. There were those who resided in the eastern direction and those who resided in the southern direction. There were those who resided in the western direction and those from the Uttarapatha. There were those from the extremities of the kingdom and those who resided nearby. There were some who resided in mountains and some who resided in islands. O Brahmanas, on hearing Indradyumna's command, many of them came, with large numbers of chariots, elephants, horses, foot soldiers, and riches. Seeing that all the kings had come, the king was happy in his mind and instructed the advisors and the priests about the great task that had to be performed. The king said, O tigers among kings, listen to some things I have to say. This sacred and supreme Tirtha is auspicious. It grants objects of pleasure and emancipation. How can a great horse sacrifice be performed here? How can a palace be built for Vishnu? My mind is thinking about this. With all of you assembled here, that is what we will do together. O supreme among kings, if you help me, it can be done. End quote. When the intelligent king of kings said this, all of them were happy and rejoiced at his instruction. They showered wealth, jewels, gold, gems, pearls, blankets, deerskins, auspicious spreads made out of the hides of ranku deer, DEER, matlab harin, hiran, diamonds, lapis lazuli, which is a precious stone, rubies, emeralds, sapphires, indranila, elephants, horses, chariots, female elephants, and many other kinds of wealth. There were innumerable objects, superior and inferior. Hundreds and thousands of pitchers were filled with Shali, Vrihi, Yava, Masha, Mudga, Tila, Siddhartha, Chanaka or Chanaka, Godhuma, Masura, Shyama, Madhuka, Nivara, Kulathaka, and thousands of other kinds of paddy from the villages and from the forest. एक footnote है, Shali is a fine rice, Vrihi is paddy, Yava is barley, Masha is urad dal, Mudga is moong dal, Tila is sesamam, Siddhartha is boiled paddy, Chanaka is chickpea, Godhuma is wheat, Masura is masoor dal, Shyamaka is a kind of grain, Madhuka is a honey colored grain, Nivara is wild rice, and Kulathaka is a fine pulse. Different cuisines सीखा जा रहा है यहाँ पे. There were thousands of kinds of paddy and heaps of rice. The pitchers were filled with ghee, many other kinds of objects to be enjoyed, food and pastes. The kings filled them with many kinds of articles. Quote, on seeing that all the objects required for the sacrifice had been accumulated and seeing the gathering of Brahmanas learned in the Vedas and Vedangas, skilled in the rites of sacrifices, accomplished and adroit in all the tasks, the rishis, the maharshis, the devarshis, the ascetics, the brahmacharis, those in Garhastya and Vanaprastha, Brahmanas who had just finished their studies, Snatakas, those who always observed Agnihotra, the best of acharyas and upadhyayas. Okay? Oh, right. What we were just discussing, interestingly. So Vivek Debra makes a footnote here saying that in general, in the hierarchy of teachers, upadhyaya is inferior to acharya. I see. और सबसे ऊपर शायद गुरु है. Guru, then acharya, then upadhyaya, probably. Ascetics engaged in self-studying, assistant priests accomplished in the sacred texts, and others who purified. The king spoke to his own priest. The king said, quote, Let the learned Brahmanas who know about the Vedas go and search out a place for the sacrifice, so that the horse sacrifice can be successfully completed. End quote. Addressed by the king. Ek minute. Addressed by the king in these words, along with the ministers, the royal priest, Raj Purohit, cheerfully left, along with wise architects. Brahmanas who were accomplished in sacrificial tasks led the way. There was a spot where there was a fisherman's village and it was laid out with roads. Following the norms, the Brahmana, the royal priest, Raj Purohita, had this made into a sacrificial arena. An array of hundreds of palaces was constructed, adorned with the best of jewels. They were beautiful, like Indra's residence, and decorated with gold and jewels. The wonderful pillars were made out of gold, and there were large gates. For the sacrificial arena, only pure gold was given and used. Following the norms, the one with Dharma in his soul, Indradyumna, the king, had inner quarters constructed for the kings who were resident of different countries. Okay, it's like a huge celebration. Alag alag राजाओं को बुलाया जा रहा है. In that way, following the norms, he had many comfortable residences constructed for the Brahmanas and Vaishyas who had come from different countries. Vaishyas भी आए हैं क्योंकि trade वेड होगा यहाँ पे. It's a huge event basically going on. To bring pleasure to the king, those excellent kings came to the festival along with their wives, bringing many jewels with them. All those great souled ones were lodged in their different camps, and that sound rose up and touched the firmament like the roaring of the ocean. O best among sages, the king instructed that those assembled kings should be tended to with food, drinks, beds, and whatever else was required. The king himself instructed that many kinds of excellent food made from rice, sugarcane, barley, and milk should be served. O supreme among Brahmanas, there were many excellent Brahmanas at that great sacrifice, and they knew about the Brahman. They arrived with their disciples, and the king welcomed them happily. He followed all of them until they reached their residences. Although he was extremely energetic himself, the supreme among kings gave up all pride. All the artisans and others displayed their own works of artisanship. Having completed everything required for the sacrifice, they informed the king. Hearing that everything had been done, the best of the kings, who was attentive towards everything, was delighted, Indradyumna. Along with those of his ministers, the undecaying king got goosebumps. When the sacrifice commenced, there were eloquent ones who were accomplished in logic and debating. There were many debates among them, as they wished to defeat each other. O Brahmanas, the lion among kings arranged for everything, just as Indra of the gods might have. The gates that could be seen there were made out of molten gold. The different types of couches and seats were studded with many jewels. The houses were made out of crystal. The Lord of the earth did not see any pots, and vessels that were made out of gold. Because the sacred texts had been studied, the sacrificial posts were also made out of wood, though they were decorated with gold. They should be made out of wood. O Brahmanas, at the right time, the extremely radiant one had some animals from the water and from the land sacrificed. All the assembled kings saw the animals that had been brought there: cows, buffaloes, even old and female ones, aquatic creatures, predatory animals, birds of prey, those born from the womb, those born from the egg, and plants and trees. They saw grain and creatures from the mountainous regions. All of them were delighted at the animals' wealth and grain. The kings saw the sacrificial arena and were filled with great wonder. The Brahmanas and Vaishyas received a lot of sweets and riches. 100,000 Brahmanas ate there. The sounds of drums being repeatedly beaten could be heard. These were sounded as soon as every day was over. Thus the intelligent king's sacrifice prospered. O Brahmanas, there was such a lot of rice that it was scattered around. Rivers of curds and lakes of milk could be seen. At the king's great sacrifice, all the Brahmanas from many habitations in Jambudvipa could be seen. Thousands of men wearing polished earrings, studded with gems, carried vessels and served with the many excellent Brahmanas, announcing what was being served. Hundreds and thousands of Brahmanas were served in this way. Other men followed, carrying many kinds of drinks. The Brahmanas were served food eaten by kings. The king welcomed those who knew about the Vedas and the lords of the earth who had assembled there, honoring them properly with copious quantities of dakshina. There were kings who had come from all the directions, and they were accomplished in fighting great battles. There were actors and dancers, and those who were accomplished in singing and dancing. The king had 1,100 beautiful wives. Their breasts were plump and uplifted. Their eyes were like the petals of blue lotuses, and their faces were like the autumn moon. They had been born in noble lineages and possessed all the qualities. The large number of excellent wives also ornamented the place. The arena was covered with garlands of jewels and was adorned with divine standards and flags. There were divine necklaces made out of jewels, with a complexion that was like that of the moon. There were elephants that were as large as mountains, beautiful to see because of the must they exuded. MUSTH. There were hundreds of crores of tuskers bedecked in ornaments. They were beautiful horses, born in the Sindhu region, and as fleet as the wind. There were many crores of such swift and white horses with ears that were black. There were innumerable foot soldiers, resembling the sons of the gods. They were armored and wielded they were armored and wielded many kinds of weapons. The king saw all this in the extremely extensive sacrificial arena. The king was filled with great delight and spoke these words. O Brahmanas, the king said, quote, bring an excellent horse that is marked with all the auspicious signs. Accompanied by princes who are ready, let it roam around the entire earth. Let those who know about the rights of Dharma offer oblations in the proper way. Let elephants that are 60 years old, black antelopes, bulls, and cows be brought here, along with those who tend to animals. End quote. When these had been brought, along with golden vessels, the king followed the norms and faithfully gave these to Brahmanas. A footnote by Vivek Debroy says that the text has some shlokas that are not included as part of the main text. These have more details about the gifts given by Indradyumna. Since these aren't part of the main text, we have not translated them. Okay, ये एक ancillary text में था. Following the norms, the Lord gave riches to all the kings who resided in different countries, elephants, horses, excellent garments, and land. The Brahmanas were given many kinds of jewels and food. Those who were distressed and without protectors were satisfied by being given whatever they desired. The Brahmanas, kings, Vaishyas, and Shudras were satisfied by giving them whatever they wished for. Taking the permission of that excellent king, they then left for their own countries. He satisfied his own family, the male and female servants, by giving them whatever they wanted. He then felt satisfied because the horse sacrifice had been successfully completed. End of this particular subchapter. Next subchapter is called Prayer for Compassion. Interesting. Let me have a sip of coffee and let's check out some comments. Okay, interesting debate has been going on here. Anushka Tyagi is saying, I heard from someone that Jambudvipa is supposed to represent a symbolic or metaphorical understanding of the world rather than a literal geographical description. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, yeah. It varies from text to text, okay, and the timeline of the text. क्योंकि even in Brahma Puran, कहीं पे it's exact geographical descriptions, कहीं पे अचानक से metaphor, कहीं पे allegory, फिर से geography, फिर से exact physical, तार्किक and logik descriptions. So it varies hugely. But Jambudvipa is mostly what text, different kinds of texts most texts, what they say is that Jambudvipa is this place, that Akhand Bharat area is Jambudvipa. Anushka, as far as I am aware, Jambudvipa is Asia in the same way as Lakshadvipa is South America. Uh, I don't think so. It might be a stretch. Mm, maybe, but uh, we'll never know for sure. Okay, सूरजकांत को देखते हैं क्या बोल रहे हैं. Yeah, here to learn is saying, if you notice all the Gotras. Okay, an interesting Gotra discussion. Let me just check this out then. Okay, guys, leave your personal thing. अरे पर्सनल थिंग लीव करेंगे तो सोसाइटी कैसे बनेगा? इंडिविजुअल्स से ही सोसाइटी बनता है. सोसाइटी बनता है इंडिविजुअल्स के लिए, इंडिविजुअलिटी के लिए. One should not come at the cost of another. Okay, society should not be destroyed to maintain individualism, and individualism should not be destroyed just to maintain society. So we cannot become USA, nor can we become Pakistan. But I would agree that there is a hierarchy of priorities. Obviously, I would say the society, the framework, the open society needs to be protected. जिसके अंदर individuals need to flourish and they need to be proud of their lineage, heritage, whatever. Gotras kind of tell us that pretty much every caste was Brahmin at some point. There was some fluidity long ago. Yeah, long ago. Abhay Agarwal is saying we were Kshatriya, but then Agarwal became Baniya or Vaishyas. Yeah. If you guys are searching for Gotras, then where is Bengali Gotras? Bangladesh, Pakistan. Rishi Lomaharshana ka Bengali Gotra hai. And we were obviously not forever Bengali, right? As not Abhay Agarwal. Abhijdar Mitra was saying yesterday in Abhijit Chavra's podcast that Bengalis are basically the race called Khmer Mon, okay, from Cambodia, Myanmar, Burma, etc. Which is why you see many Bengalis have Mongoloid eyes, okay, in some way or the other. Mamata Banerjee has it. My father's side has it. All my paternal aunts have those Mongoloid eyes only, to a large extent. So we have very interesting lineage, and so obviously we were not always subscribing to these varna vyavasthas, right? Varna systems. So वहां पे हिंदुइज्म तो पहुंचा था कभी ना कभी, मगर जबकि वंगा को ही म्लेच्छा बोला जा रहा है, वंगा को आउटसाइडर बोला जा रहा है, वंगा राड वंग में जाओगे तो प्रायश्चित्त करना पड़ेगा. ये आज से 3000 साल पहले वो बोधायन टेक्स्ट में बोला जा रहा है. तो खमेर मोन के जो लोग, जो कि आज के दिन में बंगाली बने वंगा में आके, तो उससे पहले वो लोग क्या थे वो तो छोड़ना पड़ा. तो हमारा लिनियज तो हमेशा के लिए ब्राह्मण या वो आलम्बायन गोत्र नहीं था. तो कभी ना कभी हमारे एंसेस्टर्स यहाँ पे आए बिजनेस करने के लिए ही, और पहले आके शायद दे सब्सक्राइब टू, I think they became Vaishyas. If Bengali people who are Vaishya castes, I don't think they might have been Brahmanas at any point, because whatever was the Alambayan Gotra, which has become Vaishya today, they when they were Brahmins, that time Hinduism might not have reached the Vanga region. I think after it became Vaishya, then these people came, because they were definitely most definitely Vaishyas, because वहाँ पे इतना rivers है. And I have heard from my father that our ancient business was basically going on boats and going around Bangladesh selling small things. तो उससे भी कितना पहले कोई ब्राह्मण रह चुका होगा, I wonder. When we were hunter gatherers, pretty much everyone was a Kshatriya. Yes. If you guys are searching for Gotras, yeah, सभी को मार के भगा दिया बांग्लादेश से. कोई भी गोत्रा काम नहीं आया था, क्षत्रिय या ब्राह्मण, सभी को मारकर भगा दिया बांग्लादेश से. कोई भी गोत्रा या गोत्रा वर्ण काम तो नहीं आया. Yes, it is not useful as such, other than we are tracing ancestries. Yeah. It's an archaeotourism kind of interesting, fascinating thing. तुम लोग किस गोत्र के बारे में बात कर रहे हो, किस क्षत्रिय की बात कर रहे हो? If you notice, all the gotras have names of great rishis, Brahmins. Gotra doesn't mean direct descent. Yeah. Direct descent everyone नहीं है, क्योंकि गोत्रा तो लिमिटेड है. तो सब इन सब ये 20-30 गोत्र लोगों से ही क्या सबका डिसेंडेंट हो गया? We were definitely not direct descendants of Rishi Alambayan, but someone must have been a disciple of the school of thought propagated by Rishi Alambayan. That's how I think we got our gotras. I guess it means the land of the community or village which was assigned or donated to each rishi, and the whole community got their name. And that might be one way to go. Or the other thing might be that they were subscribers of this particular philosophy. Apparently, some members of my Tyagi community changed their surname to Taga, converted to Islam, and migrated to Pakistan upon partition. Wow, wow, wow. My Gotra is Bindal. I see. And ancestors ने अपने टाइम पर किया, अब बारी तुम्हारी है. Yes, true. ओके, डोंट वरी, आई एम कट्टर हिंदू. यस, अच्छा. भाई, तुम्हें जब मारा जाएगा तो तुमसे गोत्रा पूछा जाएगा क्या? नहीं, मगर हम थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा इंटेलिजेंट होंगे बाय नोइंग आवर गोत्रा बिकॉज इट्स फैसिनेटिंग. अरे, कौन से गोत्रा में पढ़े हुए हो? अच्छा. गुरु, आचार्य, उपाध्याय, अध्यापक, शिक्षक इन डिसेंडिंग ऑर्डर ऑफ हायरार्की. अच्छा, नाइस. अभय अग्रवाल डूइंग सम गुड गूगलिंग. अरे भाई, बांग्लादेश में गोत्रा क्या नाम छिपा रहे हो या नहीं? या सूरजकांत, नहीं, अनजाने में अपने ही किसी गोत्रे वाले से ब्याह ना कर लेना, नहीं तो फिर इंसेस्ट हो जाएगा. चलो बात कर लेते हैं गोत्र पर. तुम्हारा क्या योगदान है गोत्र में पैदा होने के अलावा? यदि किसी को लगता है कि वो महान गोत्र का है तो बताओ तुमने क्या महान किया है पैदा होने के अलावा? नहीं, किसी को भी आई डोंट, एटलीस्ट मुझे नहीं लगता है कि मैंने किसी महान गोत्र में जन्म लिया है, क्योंकि गोत्रा महान है कि नहीं किसी को पता भी नहीं. आलमबरन गोत्रा का नाम कितने लोगों ने सुना है? तो ये जस्ट फैसिनेटिंग है कि इट्स लाइक नोइंग दैट योर एंसेस्टर्स केम फ्रॉम इथियोपिया. इथियोपिया महान नहीं है, एक एक घटिया देश है, मगर it's still fascinating to know that all of our ancestors came from Ethiopia. Gotra means the demarcation of lineage to avoid incestuous marriages. Yes. Abhay, it's a trap. Discord wala logic hai. Don't fall for it. Surajkant, Ninad is saying, I mentioned too, it's only useful in tracing ancestries. People don't feel great or low due to Gotra. All Gotras are equally respected. The high-low thing is separate problem of jatis and caste and varna. Yes. जवाब नहीं तो क्वेश्चन गलत है. Okay, then Anushka Tyagi is saying, okay, yeah, ये तो हो गया. Apparently in ancient days whole Bengal was mangrove, so population was low. Yes, yes, I keep forgetting about that. Yeah, most of Bengal was a forest anyway. If you see that time frame, then when we already lost Afghanistan, it was Gandhar. Then maybe our ancestors feel that we have to do something. Yes. Shom Chakraborty is saying, heard in a podcast that most Brahmins came from present UP area to preach the teachings of Vedas. Not sure if it's true. Most Bengali Brahmins are from UP, Ujjain, etc. Especially the Shandilya Gotras. Okay, Shandilya and Kashyap Gotra Brahmins of Bengal, most of them were kicked out by the initial which Muslim invader. अरे इतने Muslim invader है, भूल जाता हूँ मैं. Okay, I forgot, but कोई एक था जिसके वजह से इन लोगों को यहाँ पे आना पड़ा था. Okay, let's continue with a subchapter called Prayer for Compassion. I wonder what we are going to learn here. शांडिल्य, भरद्वाज और कश्यप, ये 3 गोत्र के जो लोग हैं बंगाल में, ब्राह्मण्स जो हैं, इन तीनों को ही यूपी से भगाया गया था. Not Ujjain, I keep forgetting the other name. That's sort of a beautiful name in that region only, UP MP region only. I can't remember. Brahma said, quote, following the norms indicated in the Vedas, the great horse sacrifice was thus performed. Vivek Debra makes a footnote here saying that here too, the text has some shlokas not included as part of the main text, and we have skipped those. The missing shlokas are mostly invocations to Vishnu. Now we are getting back to Brahma's quote. However, he was still scared of the ocean that was samsara and wanted to purify his mind. Therefore, he sat down alone and praised the protector of the universe, the one who brings bliss to the universe. He wanted to obtain Vishnu, the supreme destination. End quote. The king said, quote, O foundation of the universe, O Lord of the universe, O one who satisfies all the objects of desire, O one loved by Lakshmi, O ocean of compassion, O one who is affectionate towards his devotees, O one who likes the virtuous, O Vishnu, O great king. I am submerged in the ocean that is existence. Please save me. I bow down to the one who resembles the fire of universal destruction, the destroyer of Diti's sons, which means Daityas. O Narasimha, O immensely valiant one, O one with the blazing eyes, please save me. O great Varaha, in ancient times when the earth had sunk into Rasatala, you had raised her up with your tusks, meaning in the form of the Varaha, boar incarnation. In that way, please save me from this ocean of misery. O Krishna, I have praised your images, I have praised your murtis, which are the ones who bestow boons. You, Baladeva, and the others are established in separate forms. O Lord of the gods, Garuda and others are nothing but your limbs. O Achyuta, so are the guardians of the worlds with their weapons, and so are Keshava and the others. O Lord of the gods, the learned have said that all the others are also your different forms. O Lord of the universe, O one with the large and delighted eyes, I have worshipped all of you and have prostrated myself before all of you. O one who confers dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, bestow a boon on me. Hara, some Samkarshana, and the others have been praised in different forms as you. They have been created for the purposes of worship and are all dependent on you, O Lord of the gods. In terms of the supreme truth, there is no difference between them. Because for the purposes of sacrifice and for the purposes of worship, there are these different forms. You are Advaita. How can men speak of you as Dvaita? Advaita is non duality, while Dvaita is dual or duality. O Hari, you are one. You exist as the consciousness that pervades. You are Niranjana, without blemish. Your supreme form is beyond notions of existence and non existence. You are not smeared by anything. You are pure. You are subtle, Shukshma. You are deep and immobile. You are certain. You are devoid of all kinds of sins. You alone are established in the forms of life. You alone are established in the form of life. O Lord, the gods cannot comprehend you. How can I possibly know you? There is another of your forms that wears yellow garments and is four armed, that holds a conch shell, a chakra, and a mace, a gada, and wears a diadem and armlets. There is the Shrivatsa mark on the chest, and this form is adorned with a garland of wild flowers. The learned and those who seek refuge with you worship this, O God of the gods, O best among the gods, O one who grants devotees freedom from fear, O one with eyes like lotus petals. I am submerged in an ocean of material objects. Please save me, O Lord of the worlds. With the exception of you, I do not perceive anyone else with whom I can seek refuge. O one loved by Kamala. Kamala is Lakshmi's name. O one loved by Kamala. O Madhusudana. Please be pleased. I am suffering from old age and hundreds of ailments. I am oppressed by many kinds of misery. I am overwhelmed by joy and sorrow. I am foolish and am bound by the nooses of karma. I have fallen down into this extremely fierce and terrible ocean that is samsara. The material objects are the water that is extremely difficult to cross. It is full of anger and hatred in the form of fish. The senses are the deep whirlpools, and thirst and sorrow constitute the waves. Ah, kya line hai. The material objects are the water that is extremely difficult to cross. It is full of anger and hatred in the form of fish. The senses are the deep whirlpools, and thirst and sorrow are the waves. Can you believe this? I have to mark this. Let me just mark this as brilliant so that I can later reach these pages and then read these things again and make other people listen to these things. I am without a refuge. I am without a support. This ocean has no substance and is extremely fickle. O Lord, confounded by Maya, I have been roaming around there for a very long time. I have repeatedly been born, thousands of times as different species. O Janardana, in samsara, I have had births many thousands and tens of thousands of times and have gone through diverse experiences. I have studied the Vedas, the Vedangas, and many types of sacred texts, Itihasa, Purana, and several texts on artisanship. O Jagannatha, I have through satisfaction, dissatisfaction, accumulation, dwindling away, expenditure, victory, prosperity, rise and fall. I have gone through all these things. I have been united with and separated from wives, enemies, friends, and relatives. I have witnessed many kinds of fathers and mothers. Aha. Many kinds of fathers and mothers, okay? So, teachers, obviously. I have experienced grief and many kinds of joy. I have obtained matrimonial allies, sons, brothers, and kin. I have resided in the stomachs of women amidst urine and excrement. O Lord, while residing in the womb, I have experienced great miseries. O Rishikesha, I have had to face innumerable miseries in childhood, youth, and old age. I have had to face innumerable miseries in childhood, in youth, and old age. I have also experienced miseries at the time of death, on the path to Yama, in Yama's abode, and the hardships in hell. I have been born as worms, insects, trees, elephants, horses, deer, birds, buffaloes, camels, cattle, other residents of the forest, brahmanas, all the different types of shudras, wealthy kshatriyas, poor ascetics, kings, servants of kings, and other embodied creatures. I have been born as all of these things. O God, I have repeatedly been born in their homes. O Protector, I have been the servant of many prosperous men. I have experienced penury and lordship and have been a master. I have killed and I have been killed by others. I have struck others and been struck by them. I have given to others and on many occasions others have given to me. O Janardana, for the sake of fathers, mothers, well wishers, brothers, wives, the wealthy, the learned, the poor, and the ascetics, I have discarded shame and have gone through all these many kinds of distress. O Lord, among God's inferior species, humans, mobile and immobile objects, I do not see a single abode that I have not been to. O Lord of the universe, sometimes I have been in hell, sometimes I have been in heaven, sometimes I have been in the world of men, sometimes I have been in the water of Tirthas. O best among gods, a bucket used to raise water is tied to a rope and is sometimes raised, sometimes lowered, and sometimes stationed in the middle. Like that, I have been tied to the rope of karma. Like that, tied to the rope of karma, I have roamed around, raised up, lowered, or remained in the middle. I have been in this terrible cycle of samsara, which gives me the goosebumps. I have been whirled around for a very long time and have never been able to see an end to this. Oh Hari, my senses are afflicted and I do not know what I should do now. I am overwhelmed by grief and thirst. I am senseless and terrified. O God, completely distracted, I have now sought refuge with you. O Krishna, I am miserable and am submerged in this ocean of samsara. Please save me. O Jagannatha, if you think that I am your devotee, please show me your compassion. With the exception of you, I have no other friend. Therefore, think of me. O God, O Protector, O Lord, after seeking refuge with you, I no longer have any kind of fear from life, from death, from yoga, from kshema. O God. In this context, yoga means acquiring what one has got, so yog, addition, and kshema means preserving what one has got. And in Arthashastra, yoga kshema means welfare of the people. O God, those who do not worship you in the proper way are the worst among men. In the bondage of samsara, How can they possibly obtain a desirable end? If they do not develop devotion towards Keshava, the creator of the universe, what purpose is served by their noble birth, good conduct, learning, or even life? Those who are confounded and criticize your uh, those who are confounded and criticize you obtain asura natures. They descend into hell and are born again and again. They can never be saved from the ocean that is hell. O God, those who slander you are wicked in conduct and are the worst among men. O Hari, wherever I am born as a result of the bondage of karma, let my devotion towards you always be steadfast. O God, by worshipping you, gods, daityas, men, and others who have controlled themselves obtain supreme success. Jitendriya, who will not worship you? O Hari, Brahma and the other gods are incapable of praising you. With the intelligence of a human, how can I possibly praise you? You are superior to Prakriti. O Lord, ignorant in my intelligence, I have praised you. If I have committed a transgression in the course of this, please show me your compassion and pardon me. O Hari, the virtuous pardon a crime that is committed against them. O Lord of the gods, therefore be pleased and show affection towards a devotee who has sought refuge with you. O God, with my sentiments full of devotion, I have praised you. O Vasudeva, may all that be true. I bow down before you. May the devotion be true. What was that? This was amazing. Brahma continued, quote, thus praised, the one with Garuda on his banner was pleased. O best among sages, he granted him every desire he wanted. If a man praises Jagannatha and worships him every day, using this stotram, he becomes intelligent and is certainly liberated. If a man purifies himself and performs japa at the time of the three sandhyas, which means dawn, midday, and dusk, the three sandhyas, using this excellent stotram, he obtains dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. If a person controls himself and reads it, hears it, or makes others hear it, he is cleansed of all sins and obtains Vishnu's divine world. This is blessed and auspicious. It destroys sins and grants objects of pleasure and emancipation. This is sacred, secret, and extremely rare. It must never be revealed to non believers, those who are foolish, ingrates, or insolent, those who are evil in intelligence, and those who are cunning in any way. I don't think any of them are online at the moment listening to this. It should be revealed to those who are full of faith, possessing qualities and good conduct, those who are tranquil and devoted to Vishnu, and those who are faithful in the performance of tasks. The stotram to Purushottama that I have spoken about is characterized by compassion and is the cause behind the destruction of all calamities. It confers happiness and emancipation, mukti and moksha. It is superior and confers all the fruits one wishes for, phal. There are pure ones who meditate on this extremely subtle Murari. Krishna killed a demon named Mura. Therefore, Murari, Mura's enemy, is one of Krishna's names. There are pure ones who meditate on the extremely subtle Murari, the eternal and ancient Purusha. They enjoy emancipation and enter Vishnu, just as oblations of ghee accompanied by mantras enters fire in that same way. He alone is the divinity who can destroy the miseries of this existence on earth. He is supreme and there is no one who is superior to him. Vishnu is the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer. He is the essence of everything that exists. Krishna is the preceptor of the universe. He is the one who grants emancipation and bliss. For those who do not possess devotion towards him, what is the use of learning, owning qualities, sacrifices, donations, and fierce austerities. In this world, if a person has devotion towards Purushottama, he is said to be blessed. He is pure. He is learned. Because of his sacrifices and austerities, he is superior in qualities. He knows. He is one who donates. He is the one who speaks the truth. This is the end of another subchapter. Next subchapter is called Evolution of the Images, meaning Murtis, and I'll have a sip of coffee and check some comments before that. This must, yeah, Anushka Tyagi is saying this must never be revealed to non-believers, to the faithful. Dada is cleansed. Garnier beat that, yes. Name of this totram, please. This is one problem. We'll never know the name of this totram from this translation. इसके लिए actual ब्रह्म पुराण पढ़ना पड़ेगा तुमको in Indian languages, or just go ahead and Google this. Okay, I'll just tell you how it started. Who said what? Let's see if I can find the beginning. Yeah. So it was called Prayer for Compassion, where King Indradyumna is doing this totram for Krishna. तो ऐसे कुछ descriptions देके Google में ढूंढ के देखो, okay? And before that, Maximus Prime was saying that I saw my own name and paused. No, my name is not Niranjan. My name is Nirajan. But all this while I knew that Niranjan means पूजा के जो फूल होते हैं उसको निरंजन बोला जाता है. But here Vivek Debroy is saying that Niranjan means one without any blemishes. So who knows? Nirajan means देवताओं का आरती करना. The procedure of the aarti is called Nirajan. Okay, let me just check some interesting comments here. Maximus Prime is saying, for example, my father's side is Magdhi, my mother's side is Khmer. I see. So yeah, half Bihari. You too have Mongolite features, Dada. Yeah, some people do say it, that my eyes are a little different from others, because my father's side, everyone has these kinds of eyes. Anushka Tyagi as today there were not single king, 12 Jyotirlinga established. Okay. Ninad is saying, apparently in ancient days, whole Bengal, yeah, to maine padh liya. Shom Chakraborty is saying, thank God they didn't kick us out again. Not Khilji, Abhay. Someone a little earlier. Shom Chakra, it is not fully true, as in Bengal and Bihar, we were worshippers of Devi even today, as there were free discussions, so people came here and influenced people. Not really. At least not what I've heard from the Brahmin families. Are Daityas and Nephilim the same? No idea. Kanyakubja Brahmins also migrated after Kanauj was destroyed by invaders. Yes. When I was saying no, that I can't remember the other place of name of the place, which is really beautiful, I meant Kanauj, not Ujjain. Most of these Shandilya, Bharadwaj, and Kashyap Brahmins of Bengal were kicked out from Kanauj, Kanyakubja. So just Google who was the invader who kicked these people out from Kanauj. Even Robi Thakur's ancestry comes from UP Brahmins. Yes, that's why his surname is Thakur. He's literally Thakur Sahab. I love the guy College Street. Apna karm kar fal ka ichha mat kar. Yes. Dada pausing after reading his own name. Yes. Sounds similar to prologue to Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. Anushka Tyagi is saying, notice how the words consciousness, truth, love almost mean the same thing in this context. Yes. Well observed. Okay, power cut हो गया. देखते हैं कितना देर computer chalta hai. It might just close off any moment because my inverter supports only about 5 to 10 minutes. Let's see if the power comes back by then. Okay. Rape analogy registered for future use. Brahma Purana changed its tone quite fast. Yes. Okay, Anushka Tyagi is saying the cycle of samsara is often depicted as a wheel or circle representing the continuous and endless cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. Yes. This prayer made me emotional. Yes, absolutely. Me too. I was just left speechless. Okay. Here to learn is saying, but does this imply hate towards disbelievers like Abrahamic religions? We don't do useless hate. We hate only when we need to. It's a defense mechanism. खामा का hate नहीं करना है, मगर उनको सुनाना भी नहीं है ब्रह्म पुराण. That's all. Anjan means ink. So Niranjan means without blemishes, without ink, which can imply without form or without blemish, right? And I think Nirajan means born of water, that is lotus, since Neer means water and Ja or Jan means born. That is true, but the person who named me had said that Nirajan means made out of देवताओं का आरती करना. I wonder why. रेप नहीं, रोप था वो, lol. Kanauj was always targeted starting from Mahmud of Ghazni to Ghori and onwards to the Sultanate times too. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if the power comes back. Let me have some water as well. Feeling very cleansed. Okay. Evolution of the images. So, evolution of the murtis. Interesting. Brahma said, oh, okay. No. I'll have to end the live stream right now, because if I start this sub chapter and in between suddenly the power cut, I mean my inverter gives up and I have to stop the live stream that way, it's going to be very stupid and irritating. So I'll have to end it right now here only, guys. Unfortunately, because we are preventing fascism, so we have to save our power a lot. Power grid West Bengal का save करना पड़ता है fascism रोकने के लिए हिंदुओं का. So unfortunately, we are ending it here, so that next day we can start from this particular subchapter only. Shom Chakraborty is saying, do you live stream daily? I have seen your videos, but unfortunately could never attend a live session until now. And that is basically my fault, because my work is such that since I'm a music producer, randomly काम आ जाता है कि चलो आज ये आ गया, कल सुबह तक कुछ बना के देना है. So I can never streamline my schedule all the time. Every week my sleep cycle changes. That's why I don't do any podcasts and don't invite any guests. क्योंकि ऐसा हो सकता है कि किसी गेस्ट को इन्वाइट कर लिया और 5 मिनट पहले काम आ गया कि चलो भाई अभी करके देना है. The most brutal desecrations of temples by Ghazni happened in Kanauj, Mathura and Somnath only. Kanauj was literally the center of Indian civilizations those days, and now it's nothing. Yes. Okay. So, good night, guys. This is it. Since the power is not coming back, thanks for joining this live stream. Today was fascinating. Good night. Listen to my outro music and then go to sleep.
श्रवरूढं महाभीमं गुणाद्रष्टाङ्गरप्रदम् हस्य युक्तं त्रिनेत्रं च कपालकर्णिकाकरान् मुक्तकेशीं नरज्यः पिबन्तीं रुधिरं चतुर्बाहुसमायुक्तं वराभयकरं स्मरेत् चतुर्बाहुसमायुक्तं वराभयकरं स्मरेत् कानि कानि